Is yours live on your end? Can you see it?
It says live.
Okay.
It says live.
Okay. All
We're,
right. Good.
we're on right now.
Because I messed up a bunch of audios like this. How you doing, my friend?
Good.
Bri-
Good morning.
Brian, Brian, will you say your name so the people who will watch us and who are watching
Absolutely.
now, please?
Absolutely. So my name is Brian Prieto. I live out in Arizona. I work as a caregiver during the day and mostly throughout the week, and then I DoorDash at night. I'm just a regular Joe. More than anything, I do some artwork on the side, and I'm trying to get a business going. That's where I'm at right now.
We're gonna
Um,
get your business going. You're a great artist, and you deserve your own business.
I appreciate
Invest
that,
in
man.
yourself, Brian.
I've been watching you for a while, and you're always very you always give me so many props. I man, you motivate me so much. You inspire in that sense. It's like your persistence is impeccable, man. Holy smokes. I wouldn't be
Thank
on
you.
here if it weren't for you. I really do appreciate that, man. It's a real honor, to be honest
Wow.
with you. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, because that's all I ever tried to do was just try to like motivate people during like right at the beginning of the shutdown. I'm like,
Sure.
that's all I
I
was trying to do, and it fills my heart that I can actually do that. I haven't had one negative comment. YouTube has never fucked with me. I've had nothing but positive comments, and when I read emails that people say that I've inspired them, then that's why I do the last 10, 15 minutes of my training or the beginning.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
to put out there, just a little thing to show, hey, I'm disabled. You see that scar there, bud?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see that.
So that a guy pulled out of a fight because of a slip disc or a herniated disc. Every single one of my discs is going a different direction. Disc disease, all kinds of shit. I don't use that excuse. But I'm just saying, like anyone can do it. It's a mindset.
That's right.
And
It
once,
is a
and
mindset.
once you get through that, the soreness and all that stuff,
Yeah.
uh, you'll look forward to training. Like people don't realize that you
Yeah.
need to go out and sweat every day.
I
Like
don't
people,
know.
not every day, but at least 5 to 6 days a week, or even every
Yeah,
other day. You know what I mean?
it's good to move. It's good to move around. They associate,
Yeah.
like, people don't associate the mind with the body often, and
Well, the
that's
body is the mind. Like if you
yeah,
work your body, your mind gets better. It
it
gets you
gets
out of
better.
depression. Everything,
Absolutely,
anything. A
absolutely.
run
I
once
I
in a
agree.
run, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught me at the beginning of COVID. I was doing a little bit of like I just shadow boxing. I was hitting the bag a little bit. I made a makeshift bag, and I was just kind of knocking it around.
Awesome work. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's the thing. It's like the moment you kind of shift that mindset and create the want in yourself to get there, it's like to do whatever you want. It's like it's essentially manifesting. The moment you manifest, the moment you kind of agree to it in yourself, you only have yourself to hold. It's like you only have yourself to hold responsible for that. So man, I think I was doing like 1 hour of just boxing, of shadow boxing, and
That's
within
pretty
that
good.
week, I remember because like I was sleeping on the floor, and my body was twitching in the middle of the night, like throwing punches, like out like as I was like on the floor. It's like I was just like huh.
That's your body actually growing.
Yeah,
To be honest with you,
yeah,
that's your
yeah. So
body.
like
You know what I mean?
my brain was connecting new movements. It's like, and it was just like it was healing. It's like in the middle of the night, and then like I would like I don't know what it was doing in my brain, but I was throwing these punches out like as I was sleeping. It was pretty wild. Like that's the body changing, and like the capacity of the body to regenerate and do these magnificent things. It's incredible. The human body is incredible.
It is. It's really incredible. Let me ask you something. You have a bad back, right?
I have a
Your
bad
back
leg.
hurts you, or is that?
No, I
Your
have a
back's
bad
fine.
leg. I have a bad leg. I
Bad
was in a
leg.
car accident
Okay.
when I was 17, and I broke my leg into about 20 different pieces. So
Ooh.
it took about 2 years for them to really
Wow.
put it back together because I had a really bad bone infection that wouldn't allow my leg to heal. So I
Yeah,
went through 20
I
surgeries.
went. I had a broken leg when I was like before 7 years old. So I don't think. I think you're still so young then. You don't get those infections, but you got it as an adult. 17 is pretty much an adult, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
It
had
got my
infections. You had
I
infections.
got it was a MRSA. Yeah, and I picked it up in the
Oh,
hospital.
MRSA. Yeah, MRSA is
Yeah.
horrible.
Oh,
Ooh.
it was terrible. So that's the thing. Like I spent about 2 years and about 12 to 13 surgeries. I stopped counting after 10. I think I was just like, man, I just want to get over this. I just want to heal. And you know what? It is a mindset. I remember because like I remember someone bringing me medicine, like herbal medicine. And, it wasn't anything that I knew. So I rejected it. And, it's like if the mind rejects it and it's not yours, you can't heal.
You're right.
It's
It
like
is a mindset. You're right. It's a mindset.
It doesn't come from inside. If it doesn't come from inside, you won't make those shifts. And I noticed it later, and when I noticed it and started changing that idea, I could have lost my leg. I could have lost my leg.
Easily.
My mom, like she was, God, she fought for my leg so hard for 2 years. Like she just took care of me. She just went to all the doctor's appointments with me. She went and got all the paperwork. She spent like thousands of dollars to get the medical work and papers from the doctors. And God, man, I am forever indebted to my mom.
Salute to your mother. What a good mother.
Absolutely. That's the thing. And it's like we often, like, she's my biggest inspiration. I'm trying to help myself out first, obviously, but she's always,
you gotta help yourself before you can help anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's always
you will help your mother. I promise you, you will help your mother. I promise you.
Absolutely. And it's like she's basically a mindset coach. She works in that realm. She works in the realm of the mind. She's a
psychology.
She's a psychic, psychic, right?
A good psychic, right? Or
she's done it for years and years. Like that's her profession. Like she's chosen to do that. And before that, she was a nurse. And my mom worked 4 jobs at a time. It's like bringing me up.
It's not easy. I had a single mother growing up. I didn't meet my father until I was 32 years old. He fractured his skull, fell on a construction job, fell 38 feet, banged off fucking I-beams. Now this happened to me in 2003, and my son was born in 2005. My daughter was already, 10 years old at the time when this happened. What are the odds of a father? I didn't meet him till I was 32.
It's incredible.
What are the odds of that? Like two fathers that fell and fractured their skulls and survived.
Things happen for a reason, man. Like that's the thing, it's like for the grace of God, sometimes, it's like who knows? Like sometimes we don't even know until like 10 years later.
Brian, the weird thing is, brother, I was out on bail for a union thing. A union member of ours sucker punched our business manager, who's a dear friend of all of us. Right. So me and a friend of mine that OD'd a week before our preacher and died. He died. So this happened while I was out on bail for that. So in the hospital, when I woke up 2 days later, and my in-laws and my side of the family all staring at me and saying, "Feel your head." I'm like, what the fuck happened? I remember grabbing the railing and giving, but I don't remember what happened after that. I don't remember falling or anything, but I landed on my head. My whole spine crunched together, fractured my skull. I guess I was throwing punches at cops, trying to run up the stairs, trying to throw punches at firefighters, EMTs, everything. Yeah. Now, those EMTs and firefighters weren't there because the kid that we went and slapped around that sucker punched our business manager was a cop's brother and a cousin. He had a brother and a cousin that were cops. Were Sandhogs with us. They just became Quincy cops. Okay, so it was really political. Yep. But it had nothing to do with the police. It was just a union thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we often mistake those things too. Like we let those biases kind of like influence us in the way that we make decisions.
Well, not me. I don't let no one. I don't myself. I know what you're saying, quote unquote. Absolutely, a lot of people. But let me explain something real quick to you. When this happened, when I woke up, I wanted to go because I had a real bad headache, which of course you have a headache if you fracture your skull, you have brain surgery. Because they had to stop the bleeding inside my brain. That's why they had to make this cut. They had to cut my scalp open, stop the bleeding inside the brain, and shut it. They told my wife 50-50 chance I'd make it through. That I lived. They didn't know if I woke up, she'd have to wipe my ass for the rest of my life. They didn't know. I woke up pulling the tubes out of my mouth because I couldn't breathe. It was on coma mode. And I'm looking at all my family. I'm like, what the fuck? But they wanted me to stay for 3 to 9 months upstairs from the ICU where I was. They want me to go upstairs for 3 9 months. I go, I'm not using this as an excuse. Like,
Yep.
I'm a man. Like, I can't fake it.
Yep.
So if I'm all right, if I can walk down outside and have a cigarette, smoke a joint, whatever, right? If I can do that 15 times a day while I'm in the hospital, I was home. It happened on a Tuesday. I was home the following Tuesday. And
Yep.
they didn't want me to leave. But they were like, you can't cross streets, you can't drive, you can't do nothing. I'm like, yep, no problem. I could rest at my house. I felt like I was in prison again. You know what I mean? But I could
Yeah.
go outside and smoke and wear myself. And they shaved half my head and left the other half this side with all staples in it, and the other side was still like, a little long. I kind of look like fucking a whack job. I go, why didn't you just shave the whole freaking thing? But they saved my life, so I couldn't say that. You know what I mean? So
we can
the
absolutely
doctor,
get into that. We can because like I do have like it's like often enough like we have family members that do go to the hospital and we have to make decisions on like whether they're going to be going to ICU and spending like 2 months, 3 months, or however long, But those are expenses, It's like the medical system is kind of broken. So,
well, I live in the best medical place in the whole world is Boston, like in Quincy and Boston, right? Connected, two cities connected together. Here is where doctors study. This is where people go to school, college to be a doctor, to get their doctorates.
Right.
Well, most people, you know what I mean? Harvard, like Boston isn't full of colleges. They're all on the outskirts in Western Mass and South Shore Mass and North Shore Mass. They're not all in here, but the medical colleges or dorms or whatever, they're all across from hospitals in Boston. And we have the best medical in the world here, like in the world. So I know what you're saying. Certain states in the United States don't have it like that.
It gets crazy. It's true. Like, it's like some people would rather like try to heal at home than go to the hospital, even if they're in dire need, kind of thing. And
because it costs so much money. It costs so much money.
That's the thing. It's like, so it's like, where are we with all this stuff? We have a lot of new things coming up, but at the same time, it's like, where are we as a people?
Well, like, what happened to Obamacare and all that? Like, I just want to know, after 8 years, 2 terms, Obamacare never kicked in for people?
There's so much, it's like, it's kind of a mess right now. It's harder to really understand and get into it than we really think. It's like you have to spend a day to try to figure out what the system is. It's like how medicine works. It's like how it affects your immediate family. Even at that level, it's difficult. And it's like it's true, man. Like, God, talking about standing up. When I got into my accident, I was with my brother. And we hydroplaned going. We were on our way.
I've hydroplaned before too, so I know. I know what that is.
It's
we were scary because you're not in control. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
No matter what you do,
no control. And I remember because it's like I opened my eyes. I was taking a nap and I opened my eyes and I just feel the car just like start to shift, and I was like, oh no. And the next thing I know, it's like the grass is breaking through the window on my side. And, I just feel this heavy veil of like red and black just like cover my eyes slowly.
Brian, you got some fans here, buddy. Zach from Maine, who lives in Florida and Maine, and my boy Deacon MMA from Cali. They're saying what's up to you and to me. Just to let you know.
Guys? For sure.
Guys, I'll come back to you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, if they have any questions later,
we'll fans, buddy. See? You got fans, and a lot of people are going to see this.
This is awesome. I remember
we're going. I'm sorry.
No, for sure that right after that, like we that car flipped 7 times. And the door on my side opened and closed on my leg. When I came to, like my leg was pinned under the car. When it was pinned under the car, I was still inside. And my brother was upside down, hanging by his seatbelt, and he was out cold. He had a huge gash on his head, just like yours. And I'm yelling at him.
Not from them cutting it open and
No,
peeling your skull back.
no,
He got it
no.
from the injury, right? Like I landed on my head and I didn't even get that scar. It
Yeah,
was they had to saw
yeah,
my skull open, you know?
oh God.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know.
Crazy,
I
crazy.
like to talk about it,
I
but
know.
not that I don't like to talk. I don't mean it like that. I mean,
No, I know, I know.
just thinking about it is like,
Yeah, absolutely.
not much
It's
scares me,
crazy.
but that scares me a little bit, you know?
I was yelling at my brother. You know, it's like I was just like, wake the fuck up. We got to get out of here. And you know, it's like I'm reaching for the phone. This
Your
was before
survival
the
skills kick in, you know?
yeah, they do
They
immediately.
do.
And you know, it's like I looked at my leg, I looked at my brother, and I was just like, well, shit. I reached for the phone, which was behind me, like in the glove compartment, and I try to call. Like I pull it out, I try to call, and nothing. There's no service. We're out in the middle of nowhere. and I'm like, well, shit. And I'm
Was
yelling
this
at
in
my brother, he's
Arizona?
not coming through. No, this was in Utah.
Utah.
We were right around
Utah.
Mesquite. Yeah, right on. I
Utah's
don't know if you
beautiful, huh?
no, it's a
Beautiful there,
beautiful
huh?
drive. It's a great drive.
I heard
And
that.
you know, it's like I yell at my brother, I unbuckle his seatbelt, which I shouldn't have done, but I was freaking the fuck out. And he falls and he comes to and he keeps asking me the same question. He's like, what happened? What happened? And I was just like, well, fuck, what? I don't know what fucking happened. And you know, it's like the next thing I know, this is the miracle of all things. Like, this is incredible.
They do happen.
This lady comes up to the window and she looks inside and she's like, are you okay? Like, I think so. I'm all right. I mean, I'm alive. And
I'm alive. Thank
and
God.
I was like, oh, thank God. And I was just like, don't go anywhere. And I grabbed the lady's hand. And you know, it's like I squeeze it and I'm like, don't go. Do not leave me.
You were in shock.
Yeah,
buddy.
I was
Yeah,
absolutely in shock.
Yep.
And you know, it's like I told her, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my brother. I don't think he's well. He's got a huge gash on his head. He might, you know, it's like I have no idea what's going on. Miracle of all things. This lady is a nurse. She saw the accident happen. They were right behind us when it happened. And her husband, who was a firefighter, was in the car with her too.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
they
Thank
both
God.
came out. Yeah.
He
Like
knows exactly what to do.
we were like 80 minutes out from the nearest hospital.
Wow. Yeah, everywhere I live is really close to hospital. They brought me to like Quincy Hospital. They said bring him right to Boston Medical right away. There's an operator, like the best trauma surgeon in the East Coast was here every 3 months a year. So it just happened in April. He was here. So I was very lucky to have the best trauma surgeon too. So it's all like, but you were 80 minutes away from a fucking hospital.
It you know, it's like I was just like, I'm glad I'm okay. And then
you were found by a caring person with a firefighter who knows how to respond to emergencies.
It was
you had
crazy.
pros right there
so
for that
crazy.
situation.
And the weird thing about shock too, like they had gotten me out. They finally like they opened, like they crushed the door open. They lifted the car. They pulled me out, and I was like, it's okay, guys. I got this. I can stand on my own. And I tried standing. They're like, no, don't do that. Do not do that. And you know, it's like
they see something you didn't. You know what I mean? That's what it was probably.
It was just so wild because you know, it's you. In those points in time, I think you feel invincible. Like I was so happy to see the sun. You know, it's like I was stuck under that car for a good while, and I was just like, when the sun hit me, I was just like, oh, thank God. It's like, whew, that was like the warmest feeling. And
some people think the sun is God. You know what I mean?
Yes, there is a long lasting tradition with sun followers.
The light.
Yeah,
and it's natural vitamin D3. So people don't realize that they're stuck in a room all day long. They don't get natural sunlight. They don't sweat. They don't do nothing, and they're not even taking vitamin D. They're not even taking vitamins.
They're vampires, creatures of the night.
Nothing wrong with it either. I'm just saying, I just recommend people go out and take care. I thought this whole shutdown would wake up Americans. You know, at least walk.
We're in a mixing pot, man. We're in a mixing pot. We have to really accept a lot of other people's views in that sense. You know, it's like the issue of tolerance. That's a big issue right now, and it's always coming up. But how often do we like hold our tongue and just kind of observe people? You know, just kind of wait.
Well, I like to observe. Well, I used to act on an impulse and it always got me in trouble. Okay. My first 25,
Absolutely.
30 years of my life, but mostly the first 21 years of my life. Then 21 to 25, that's when your brain matures, is when you're 25. If you're lucky, it matures a little earlier.
Sure.
But when I was 25 and my first my 27-year-old first daughter, first child was born, that's when I seen a whole. I never thought I'd live till 30 when I was growing up. I never planned on living past 30.
Right.
So I just it changes you, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, your brain doesn't mature till you're 25 anyways, and this is what a psychologist told me.
Sure.
And I always I think it's pretty accurate. I don't think she was far off between 25 and 30. She says, but she says sometimes if you're lucky, you figure life out a little earlier than that. But listen,
Even
I was
after,
11 years old, and I was like thinking in 13, thinking
yeah,
like a 30-year-old. So it's not that I didn't have life figured out.
the
I
human,
did. I
the
just
human
never thought
body
I'd live past
it's
30.
capable.
You know?
It is capable. It is, it's like we are.
We only use 10% of our brain. I try to use 20
yeah.
or 30 or 100, but we can't. You can't use it. You can't use that much, but you can
You don't need
learn
to
to use more than 10%.
so it's such a potent, like we're such powerful creatures here, and the things that we're doing to this earth too, it's like I like to get into that a little bit.
You can talk about anything you want, brother. The floor is yours, my friend.
Stuff. Good stuff. Thank you.
You don't have to thank me, Brian. We're friends, buddy.
Hey, man.
There's no saying I have, bud. I've earned my respect and I demand to be respected. But at the same time, you don't know me from the streets. You didn't grow up with me. You just know me from the internet. I know you're a real person. I know you have real feelings. I know you were going through some dark days, and I noticed it. I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong. I thought you were going through some dark days. I just thought you needed someone to say, hey, don't worry, it's going to be all right. I try to do that with younger people and even people that are older than me. I just say, don't worry about it. Our bodies are here to carry our brains. That's what people don't understand.
You are such a great inspiration, man. Like, that's the thing I like about you, man.
I appreciate that.
You look at people like,
you're an inspiration. You're an artist. You're an inspiration to me too. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm glad I can inspire you too.
Your persistence is amazing. I freaking love it. And it's like the things that you go for morally, I think that's such a strong perspective. And I really honor. I
appreciate.
I respect
I really
that
do, Brian.
much.
Thank you.
I do
very much. I appreciate you and thank you for being you, because your artwork is unbelievable in my opinion, because you know why? You don't draw like everyone else draws. I don't rap I didn't rap, and I don't play bass, and I listen to aggressive thrash metal since the beginning, aggressive rap since the beginning, like hard rock since I was a young kid. I was always against, I had a problem with authority, you know what I mean? So, because I didn't have a father. Not that I didn't have a father. My father wasn't with my mother. My mother left my father. I just told you that story earlier. But so I was a rebellious kid, and I always hung around with the older kids. And my cousins that were living here with me were older than me. My first dearest friend, that was my best man at my wedding in 2001, was he was 2 years older than me. In third grade, I was in first grade. So all the kids I hung with were older kids since I was a kid. So. It's kind of weird, you know what I mean? But you're an inspiration to me too, brother. I'm glad I can inspire you like that. That's the whole reason I put those clips up to inspire people.
We have so many things in common, and that's the thing. Like, I'm glad you do this podcast, because that way we can share some of that information with other individuals. And whether those individuals are going through a hard time or not, it's like they can always listen, and it's like maybe
it's all about giving back, Brian.
And that's
all about helping people. It's all about. I'm trying to inspire people, and that's why I bring on inspiring guests. I got Golden Glove champ from Chicago coming on. I got so many people. It's just hard to set them all up logistically, but now I have the time to do it. So now I can do it full time. So now like I told you, you'll be back. So let me ask you something, Brian. What did you say you wanted to talk about? You said you want to talk about something right before we went through this.
Let's see. No, I had in mind.
Whatever you want to talk about, I want you to. We'll talk about it. So you don't put too much pressure on yourself.
No. All good.
We'll discuss it.
I can.
Nothing's off limits.
For sure. Yeah, if there's any questions also from our viewers, we can also address some
All
questions.
right, I'm gonna tell you what's going on real quick. You know what they're talking about? They're talking about who's going to win fights today because it's actually fights started at 12 already.
Oh
Fights
yeah.
start at 1, and then there's bare knuckle tonight too. Bellator's 12. UFC's 1, Bellator and BKFC sometime today too. So it's like 4 different freaking fights. They're talking about fights, but they will have questions. I guarantee that. But they did say hi. I know that
Yeah,
much.
no, absolutely. Talking
But
about fights.
people, hey Brian, people will ask like in the comments as like a week or a month goes by. Within a week and a month, you'll have all kinds of comments for you, and I'm just going to give
I'm
them
not
your
even worried about that.
email, and they can ask you personally.
I'm not even worried about that. This is what we call organic growth.
Organic.
Right,
Everything should be organic.
And I really do feel that it should, versus like, say for example, like if I found at one point, it's like that people can spend a lot of money on advertising. They can spend a lot of money on making a website or whatever. And it's like, I don't so much disagree with making a website, but
No.
putting in a bunch of money on advertising, that's, especially if you don't have money and you're working and you're looking to make a business, it's like you have to figure out how to go around it, how to resolve those things without money sometimes. It's like I worked on the street selling tamales. It's like I freaking grew up in a flea market. It's like I have those things behind me too. It's like I go back to it in a second too. I love flea markets. I
do too.
Yeah, man, I love that. It's like I grew up in poverty, man. Like that's the thing. I came from Mexico when I was really young, and I grew up in Garden Grove in Anaheim. And
I love Mexico. Just to let you know, I love
Thank
Mexico.
you, man. Like, thank you. Of course, we have
some of the best fighters. Chavez. Fuck. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Chavez, huh?
One of my favorite fighters ever.
That guy,
he's in the top 5, top 10 ever.
Yeah, that guy was putting in more work than most other boxers put.
He's like 80-0 before he even lost his first fight. No one knows that. Even with Roberto Duran, he was like 70-0 before he even. These kids, I don't know these days, I have no clue.
Yeah, for sure. No,
even before those guys, like the history of boxing, it's like fascinating because that's where contact fucking control violence was actually created, was boxing in America.
Yeah,
and that's what people and in Europe,
My grandma was a panadera, which means like she was a baker, and my grandpa was a boxer. So he would, that's how she fell in love with me.
So he taught you, when you were young, how to defend yourself?
I didn't get to actually hang out with him too much, and he passed away when I was around like 6 or 7.
I'm sorry to hear that, bud.
No, it's all good.
I didn't get to see my grandparents growing up either, so I kind of had the same thing with
the way that we observe death, in our lives, the way that it impacts us. Sometimes we fall into like a downward loop or a spiral, and observing those things in ourselves, it's like recognizing when we're sad or upset, or like having someone else to ask you, it's like, are you okay?
Well, everyone agrees.
All right. Yeah. Some people like they just like lash back and they're like, I'm fine, or whatever, or it's like they take
if they lash back and say they're fine like that, they're really not fine. Yeah. But they're just trying to tell you maybe, well, I'm not fine, but I'm not in the fucking mood to talk about it right now.
Yeah,
that's why they may be saying it like that,
That's right.
And they're trying to give you a warning, and then
some people just need
people persist, right?
Some people just need like a little bit of attention. It's like to allow that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We talk about catharsis. It's like allowing the individual to release those things.
Have an empathy for people.
Yeah. And it's like we're at a loss for that, especially with like the things that we were talking about with tolerance. It's like it's all connected in it's
a discipline like training is discipline. It's the same.
Yeah, it's a mental health too. It's a mental health discipline. It really is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of mental health issues out there in this world.
I live in Prescott, and we've got one of the largest.
Now, where is Prescott? Because Arizona's so big. I know Phoenix is where my uncle owns a base shop, the only base shop there, and then a friend of mine lives like 2 hours north of Phoenix, and then my aunt lives like an hour north of south of Phoenix. So
that's
where is
that? All there is in Prescott. There's 2 hours up, and then there's Phoenix. And
so you're South Arizona.
Yeah,
Southern Arizona?
North Arizona. So
North
2 hours
Arizona. I'm sorry,
north of
Northern
Phoenix.
Arizona.
Right.
Northern Arizona. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and there's a huge community of retired veterans and police officers and ex-military. We've got
Really good mentors there.
We've got one of 15 national caches for agriculture out here in the United States. So there's, it's like individuals. We also had the 19 Hot Shots tragedy that occurred.
What's that? What was that, Brian? I know history very good.
Absolutely.
Refresh my memory on that.
Sure. Yeah, and we had 9/11 happen, right? And
yeah,
a lot of firefighters died. Yeah, God bless. But after 9/11, we had a tragedy here in Arizona, where 19 firefighters did die. I have no idea like what exactly happened, but they died, and it was the second most firefighters that died in one day. It's like it was super, super sad because there was a lot of families, and this is a really small, tight.
I respect firefighters a lot, so it's sad to me.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we had something like that here with some homeless people living in a big abandoned building, and they started a fire, and then a bunch of firefighters died in it, and people, and they blamed the homeless people, and then they found them innocent because it wasn't their fault. They were trying to kill firefighters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But firefighters are very underpaid, and they have a lot of balls to go and burning buildings, to go in those towers and going up when the fucking thing is.
I know.
I'm just saying they have a
hard job, and they're not. It's like I don't think they get paid adequately.
They are respected by me in this.
These guys are dropping trees that are like massive, and they put themselves in danger for like the
physical to become a firefighter is really tough too.
Absolutely.
Carrying hoses in a certain amount of time upstairs, all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot, so it does get split between wildland firefighters and I don't know what the name of it is, but people that deal with like buildings and stuff. So
there's a specialty like firefighters. We had a fire tunnel rescue. We had firefighters with tunnel workers with sandhogs that were expert sandhogs that did 30 years or 20 years or really in good shape, that know what they were doing and not scared to go save their brothers and sisters that are union members. Because they estimated a death a mile we mined in 11 different water tunnels and the central artery tunnel. The big dig was all those tunnels going on all over Massachusetts, all within a 10-year span, and they were all like 5-10-year jobs. So it's like 20 years. They said a death every mile we mined. We mined like 500 miles on all together on all the tunnels, and we only lost 4 or 5 guys tops in all that time. So they were way off. They didn't realize how good our miners were here, our sandhogs. But we had firefighters that would. When there was accidents down the tunnels, 500 feet down the shafts at the bottom, then you go 9 miles in and 12 miles in, different direction, east or west. Like Stadies went down with firefighters. Firefighters would go right in with tunnel rescue sandhogs. Stadies and cops and EMTs, they're like, we're not going in there.
No,
so firefighters have a different mindset. And these Stadies ain't no joke here. They're fucking tough people too. They're ranked in like top 5 in the country. They're not scared of much either, but like tunnel work is not made very well, but firefighters, I have a lot of respect for firefighters myself. Oh, yeah, and cops and EMTs.
My dad's a cop.
I respect
my dad's a retired police lieutenant.
Just not the bad ones. I don't respect.
See, that's the thing. I don't think there's bad cops. There's bad people. Maybe.
No, there's bad cops. Trust me, but there's more good ones. It's just a couple bad ones make the good ones look bad. I know. I can decipher it. And this come from an ex-felon. I know I'm sticking up for cops, and I'm an ex-felon, and I never fucking sold my soul. No, I actually hate cops. I don't even like when cops like come near me, and it's like a situation where they think I'm doing something wrong, and I haven't done nothing wrong in 25 years. So for them to even think I'm still doing something wrong, it's an insult to me. Because I raised 2 beautiful kids that are really good kids, and they're almost one's an adult, one's almost an adult, and my wife works for the city. I'm just shocked that There's CIs out there, confidential informants, that will say someone's doing something, still selling drugs when they're not selling drugs.
Yeah.
And
That's the
I
thing.
just,
It's all
but there are shitbag
it's all
cops, and there's a
circumstantial.
lot more
Situation.
better cops than shitbag cops. You know what I mean? Hey, there's firefighters that get firefighter jobs to rob houses when they're, going to, put out fires in a house. I'm telling you, in New York and Boston and here in New Jersey, that's what some firefighters used to do. That's the way it was back in the days, bro. I'm just stating facts. I know this for a fact. No one can ever deny it, but cops will admit for every few, and they take an oath, like us union, like say guys like me on the street when I was growing up. You there's an unwritten rule, and there's politics, right? There's politics on the streets because you're selling pot, you're selling joints, you're selling acid, mescaline, cocaine, everything, right? On the streets because you're a teenager, right? Absolutely. But there's rules. You don't tell on your friends. So when cops take a when cops get in, they take an oath. They're all like, don't tell on your fellow cops.
There's loyalty. Loyalty is like
so you have to be loyalty. So I get it. I understand why the good ones won't say there's bad ones, but there's bad ones. I don't give a fuck what the good ones say. I know there's bad ones.
There's underlying things there, like the values and the.
But there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones too. Yeah, I absolutely.
I never called the cops in my life, Brian. But listen, they're needed for my kids, their kids, and people that want to defund cops. When shit hits the fan, and they're like, someone call the cops. Well, you defunded them all. They're not going to come. So then they're like, oh shit, they always talked up, but they can't like physically, survive themselves and take care of themselves physically. So they're in trouble. So yeah, you need good cops, and there are good cops. I'm not saying there ain't. All I'm saying is we all know that they're all made to look bad because of a few bad ones in every department.
So there's a huge distortion of media truth that occurs here. And, it's like we don't take those things into account because we all have our biases. And especially in the system that we come up in, we are the first, like our kids growing up right now is the first generation that's been influenced completely by technology. It's like we don't take these things into consideration really. And then we don't consider like our past as growing up in, like, for me, I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. It's like here at the turn
of the violent 90s.
Hey,
I was born in 71. I grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 80s and 90s were very violent. So you're absolutely correct. Well, see, soft times make soft men. Hard men make soft times too, just to be fair.
Right. So there's a whole different set of rules or not rules, but like things that I kind of get into when I'm observing those things. It's like
Chappelle says smoking a cigarette, and Joe Rogan says smoking a cigarette while you're doing interviews or whatever, or talks.
I was going to ask
the best way to do it. So I'm going to have a cigarette.
That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask me.
If you've ever heard of this statistic that individuals, say for example, that are in class or however, don't have they have an attention span of anywhere between 25 minutes to 45 minutes.
Joe Rogan, who inspired me, not just Joe Rogan though. I've been with Hotbox on Mike Tyson the first 2 seasons, and Be Real from Cypress Hill on the Smoke Box. That all inspired me to do my own podcast. I don't believe that's true. I believe right now people are listening on every app. They're not watching a video. They're listening. They're at work, and they want to hear brutally honest talk. They don't want to because the media is so full of shit. Everybody's so full of shit. Brutally honest talks like this are so important in our society.
That's where we're going with all this, man. Like that's why we're putting. Like that's why you're putting this stuff out. I really.
I'm not even a tech head, dude. I'm not even a tech head. I don't even got a producer. I got to do all this on my own. I had to learn it all. But that's work ethic. That's work.
See,
I've been working.
The way I see it is like if you're.
I didn't grow up in money. Like I grew up just like you, poor, with a single mother on welfare. Yeah. My kids didn't grow up on welfare, but I did.
Yeah, nothing wrong with like watching like a few hours of TV a day or listening to a podcast or like listening to the radio. No, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like the only thing with something like that for me is that I have to be so strict with my time schedule because I've got so many things that I want to get to.
I get it.
and I have to make sacrifices. So like if I have to cut out an hour of TV for my day or an hour of video games for my day, I do it. And it's like that's not
That's good
that's not a
discipline,
problem,
though,
man.
bud.
I used to play 18 hours of video games a day.
I
A
know
day.
people who, yeah, that's a bad
2 years.
addiction.
For 2
That's a
years.
bad
It
addiction.
is. It is, and
Yeah,
I
but
worry
let me
about
ask
like
you something.
this.
Did your life go downhill because of it?
No, but
All
my
right,
mind
so
was affected by
if
it.
it didn't go downhill, you didn't get hurt. You know what I mean?
It was
But
affected by it though.
if you're
That's the thing.
responsible,
Like, and we didn't know any of this stuff either. Like, I had just broken my leg. I couldn't go anywhere. I had the
well, that
excuse to do it.
thank God for the video games for
Yeah.
you. Hey,
Thank
hey,
God,
I
yeah.
use video games. I use sports video games when I got sober off booze and sniffing
Right.
coke, and
Right.
so
But just like
years,
anything,
20 years ago.
there's a chemical dependency that occurs. It's like your body starts releasing dopamines and
Right.
serotonin.
Naturally,
and all these
yeah,
things, right?
naturally.
So you program your body to do a certain thing. And then so when my leg got better, eventually, I was able to like crawl away from the computer or crawl away from the TV. And I had to have a different perspective. It's like I tried changing my habits and I was sad for years and years. It's like I was really depressed because like I couldn't go anywhere. And after like my leg got better, I essentially tried to make up for time. And so I went out and got myself into a lot of trouble. It's like I did some stuff that like
You don't seem like the troublemaker type.
Oh, I am.
I know trouble
Oh,
always find me where the places
yeah.
where I frequented and sold drugs.
No. I'm really good at getting into trouble. I'm really good at it. All right.
You don't see, you're such a respectful, nice fucking person.
No.
What the fuck, Brian?
No, man, I am.
Brian,
I
I was a troublemaker too. I'm an ex-felon. So hey, listen, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Hey,
so you've matured, obviously, right?
You ever seen that one meme with the little chihuahua on the Roomba?
No.
No.
Well, I probably have. I seen so many memes. Like, all right,
He's like,
I disrespect firefighters, because I just remembered I disrespect. So what happened with those firefighters? Let me go back real quick. What happened with those firefighters in Arizona?
So they did
12,
put up
you said 12 or 13?
It was 19. It was 19 19 hot shots. And I remember the day that it happened because it was on the news, and it's like we were living in Sedona. Yeah, it's
how did that happen, Brian? Was that like someone?
I have no idea.
Was it crime? Was it arson? Or was it just a
no? They were out in the
doing their jobs.
They were doing their jobs, man. And they all got caught in in a bad turn or something like that, and they were all in the same place. And
what's this, like a forest fire? Is what you're saying, type thing?
Yeah.
So you know what I hear? I hear like they say if there's like a 1 or 2 mile per hour difference, they can get caught. Like they've been lucky in California, they say, all these years because there's such good firefighters here. But even good firefighters can't stop Mother Nature. They say if there's a 5, I don't know what it is. It's a real significant small amount of wind change that could screw you, no matter how good you are with logistics.
My heart goes out to these families.
Oh, it breaks my heart hearing it. I didn't hear that. I didn't even know this, and I'm going with my.
Prescott, Arizona.
Prescott, Arizona.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look into that later on, or tonight or tomorrow. I want to see. I want to read that.
These things happen, and it's part of our history, and we don't see some of these things. We've got 50
Salute, respect to those firefighters and their families, and all of them. Salute to them. Thank you for telling me that because I didn't know about that. And see, that's what the news should be telling people. You didn't know about the Worcester firefighters up here. I didn't know about the Worcester firefighters. See, that's what they should be talking about. Not fucking. It's all drama. Then they tell one inspiring story at the end when you're already fucking depressed. That's why I've never watched the news for about 5-10 years. So.
Why do you think?
You ask me anything.
Why do you think they? Why do you think they try to divide and conquer this way? I mean, as far as like the media is concerned, and distorting and giving the
okay.
stories
you want me to give you? Do you want me to give you the? I can give you my most brutally honest answer, and I'm not scared to speak my mind. But what I'm going to tell you, you're going to say he's right at least 90%. Okay. First of all, these people that get into office, okay, not all politicians are bad, but it's just like a few bad cops, Okay, and they have the highest position. Shit rolls downhill. There's a in the union, on the streets, in the gym, in fighting gyms and boxing gyms where I used to, train at. Uh, Anywhere in life, there's a chain of command. There's someone that's the president, the business manager, who's actually the boss of everyone, and then you got all the soldiers. So the mayor of any city, right, is basically the mafia. They have the cops as their enforcers. Like I was an enforcer for bookies and my union bosses. I wasn't an enforcer. I was a problem solver. I wasn't enforcing nothing. I was just solving problems. Okay, I was a problem solver. I wasn't an enforcer. That's what the feds alleged, and that's why I plead guilty to. But I had to plead guilty so my dead friend's name wouldn't be in the paper, and my boss, who they railroad the feds. So, I'm not a rat. Even 8 months after this, I still, said, fuck that. I'm not telling all my dead friends saying it was his fault because my boss's lawyer had that deal already set up. I said, first of all, don't ever say that to me ever again. Second of all, don't be making deals. I got a $30,000 lawyer right there. I said, $30,000 man, go get me something I can do with a stay of execution so I come off all the payments. Yep. And, he finally came out after 5 times. He got me a 2 years, 6 months to serve. So I did 3 months. Worst case scenario, I would did 5 months. But this is after being out of prison for 10 years. You know what I mean? So I went back and, so I got 3 months. That was October 2003. This happened in April of 2003, right? I didn't have to turn myself in until January 18th of 2004 to start that bid so I could come off all the pain meds I was on and all the other everything. And I didn't come off them. I just did them more because I was prescribed so many. And I went in. I was sick as a dog I was sick as a dog for like a month. All right, I couldn't sleep. I started sniffing Seroquel at night. That would help me sleep. I work out 3 times a day. I couldn't sleep, but I slept the last 2 months, and I got out and I just went right back to work with this injury. And my doctor said to me, Bobby. And then I made 2 albums, and I raised another kid, with my other kid. Yeah. With my wife, so I didn't use it as an excuse. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I woke up out of the coma 2 days later, after they wanted me to go upstairs. I could have said, oh, I don't remember what happened last week. I'm out on bail for this union thing with me and my dear friends and my boss, and very political. I could have used that as an excuse, and I could have never had to go to court or nothing. But I'm a stand-up man. I'm a man. I'm a man of integrity and self-respect. Yes, so some people, I don't know how they look themselves in the mirror. So I'll be honest with you. What is happening with the news and all these, it's clickbaity these days. Now, they've been using fear tactics for 60, 70 years. They always want to make older people scared, elderly scared. They want to make young people scared. This is their narrative. This is in The Art of War. Read The Art of War, okay, by Sun Tzu. It's like a Bible to me. Yeah, it's like a Bible. Yeah. I've read it 3 times, and I remember a lot of it. But it still applies to today. They always want to kind of control, even in a free country like ours, and we live in the best country in the world. I'm not saying nothing bad about anybody, but I am saying this is how it works, okay? William Randolph Hearst, here's a perfect example in the 40s, 30s and 40s and 50s, right? Okay. Hemp, pot, cannabis, hemp, cannabis. That's what it's always been called, not marijuana. Cannabis was the $1 billion crop. They made this machine called the Forticator or something like that, okay? Sure. That was going to make, they made the first F-150 truck with it. They banged it with a sledgehammer. It was fucking better than steel, right? It was cheaper to make than paper. You didn't have to chop down trees. Cannabis grows fucking as fast as you plant it. You know what I mean? Every 3 months. So the guy, William Randolph Hearst, owned Hearst Communications. He owned all the networks on TVs, 90% of the networks on TVs in the United States back then. And the president back then was in cahoots with him. So they said marijuana. They called it marijuana. I think that's the Mexican name for cannabis, wild weed or something like that, right? Wild weed, something that. Okay, so he owns all. So he's a billionaire. He's like, he's in the like 0.10%. You know what I mean? Him and in president. So the president, this is what they did. They said Mexicans. That's why Mexicans are lazy. That's why, and then this is why blacks will be raping your white daughters and this and that. I said, Mexicans are the hottest workers I ever worked with. Like, this is all bullshit, okay? But people believe what they see constantly over and over on TV. It's brainwashing, okay? Now, listen to me. Now, this is why it stays corrupt. These people that couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag with 2 rips in it get elected and they get this power. It's like bad cops that got their milk money taken. They get a badge and a gun because their uncle's the fucking mayor. And they can't physically restrain somebody, so they shoot them. And they always get away with it because no one's going to put, you know what I mean? Okay, yeah. So listen, this is what happens. When these people get elected in, they win a popularity contest. There's already the CIA, there's all these agencies that we actually need to keep America free and safe. We actually do need them, okay? But there's corruption at every level. I've seen it. A lot of people have a price. 99% of people have a price to do a false narrative. Now, listen, if they don't go along with it, they lose their jobs. Now, to me, that ain't no big deal. I'll go get another job somewhere else just because I stand for what I stand for. You probably do too. You know what I mean? You would. You know what I mean? So this is what happens. It's these people don't want to give up their power. And they don't you notice that they get paid like $400,000 a year when they retire? Like I think I get like $4,000 a year when I'm 55. I get early retirement because of this, and I get right now like I probably get like around $3,000 a month because I worked so much in my life. You know what I mean? Even though I was selling drugs, I still worked. Even though I did those bids, I still worked before them and after. I went back to work. You know what I mean? I just got caught selling drugs one time. I got caught doing armed robberies when I was 17. A lot of assault and batteries with a dangerous weapon shop, but a lot of fighting. Assault and batteries, dangerous, all things like that when I was young. Yeah. So, but it's all people who've never had power in their life, Brian. That's what it is. So if they don't say the narrative that the people are giving them money to say, like say a party out there. I'm not going to name any parties, but say there's a party out there that gives a news agency that they give them $5 million a year. So whatever they want them to say on the air, they better say it, or they're not going to get that $5 million, and they're going to get shut off. They're not only not going to get that money; they have so much power they can get them shut down. So you understand? That's where it comes down.
Yeah. So if someone pays me like $5 million to say something on say for example,
no, it's just to stay in power, for these people to stay in power, for them to feel powerful, because they've never felt powerful by themselves, like. Being a man or a woman, they've never been powerful. Like my wife was one of the toughest girls I knew growing up. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why I was like attracted to her. You know what I mean? She always fucking win fights for 10 girls, her and her sister. You know what I mean? So, like people that can physically take care of them. And I'm not saying people that can't physically. Anyone can if they practice. They'll be good at taking care of themselves. But it's people that grow up never ever getting in a fight. Like I was in fights in first grade. We were running around, we were rolling around the ground, throwing punches at each other in first grade because kids are cruel at that age. But you know how you bully a bully, you bully them back, and then they don't want to bully you. You know why? Because they want an easy time. They don't want to have to fight.
Nah, they don't.
Bullies are usually being bullied by their parents. It all starts at home. You know what I mean?
I know.
I never liked bullies, but
you're talking about behavior. We're talking about behavior.
It's people that are power. I wrote my first song. It was called Napoleon Syndrome. It was about people that got their lunch money taken or milk money taken when they were kids, and they never stood up for themselves because they were scared for some reason.
Man, I was so lucky. In elementary, it's like
I was lucky too. I had older cousins and older friends. I was lucky too.
I might have gone to like I might have been living in poverty, but it's like they had food for us in the mornings. They had breakfast, and it's like even
I never went to those breakfasts. I always felt ashamed to go, so I never went.
I was so hungry. It's like I'd sit next to my friends.
I'm not fault. A lot of people went. I didn't go because I thought I don't know.
My friends were so nice, man. My friends were so nice. They're like, yeah, I ate, and they'd give me their ticket.
It's fucked up for a kid to feel ashamed. Huh? It's fucked up
for a kid to have to feel like that. It is, and they'd give me their ticket, and I'd go get the food with the ticket kind of thing. They're like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. I ate already." I was just like, "Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate my friends from elementary school." Shout out.
Yeah, I have
Shout
a
out.
lot of good kids from elementary too. I never hung
Yeah.
with them outside of school, but hung with them in school. They're good kids. Still to this day, I still talk to, like, like I always tell people about race. I go, do not like. I don't ever bring it up, but it's always brought up all the time. I'm like, listen, I was playing chess in second and third grade with an Argentina kid, a kid from Argentina, a kid from Cambodia,
Yeah.
and I still talk to these kids online still to this day, and
Yeah.
another kid like me, like an Irish, Italian, white kid, right?
Yeah. Shout out, man. Like that's like shout
Everyone
out
else is playing checkers. We were playing chess.
Thomas Jefferson Elementary. Shout out to Paul Revere Elementary. Shout out to Violet Elementary. I went to all those schools. I moved around a lot. And
Well,
you know, it's like, I don't forget those things. I don't forget those things. You know, it's like I don't forget my friends. I don't forget. You know, it's like I won't forget.
I don't
Cindy.
either, but I'm loyal too.
I won't forget
That's loyalty. You're loyal, Brian.
Those are my friends. Those are my friends, and you know,
you're a loyal person.
I'm gonna be 38 this year, and those memories still run in my head. You know, it's like I do appreciate the things that people do, and
I like all my elementary school friends. I do too.
Yeah, man, all the way through college, all the way through high school.
You know, I got kicked out in eighth grade.
I had a really good
friend. I went to work at full time when I was, going into ninth grade. I was working full time.
Yeah,
I was already working part time 3 nights a week, even though I was selling drugs every day. But I'd go work a legal gig 3 nights a week, just so I could get that check every week.
Yeah, I moved into a higher end neighborhood when I was 13.
I lived in the hood.
I actually got into the middle class when I was 13 by marriage. My mom married into
good for you, brother.
Family. Yeah, no, it was good. Good for my mom.
And I made sure my kids never had to grow up in the hood before I grew up.
Amazing. And I felt like an outcast when I got into those schools. So like the whole bullying thing, that's when that started for me. It's like when I changed schools into a different class. So there was something that happened right there. Like there was a culture shock that occurred, and I just wasn't comfortable with the way that people perceived me. I guess like the way they looked at me or something. I have no idea. I was bullied from day one, and it's really strange. It's like he's a really good friend now, but he shot like a rubber band at my face, and I didn't know anybody. I was like in the back. And he shoots this rubber band at my face, and it smacks me in the head. And I'm just like, fuck, man, I just got here. Like, what the hell? And we became good friends later, but it was one of those things where I'm just like, God, man, like, wait, this is how it is? And I had to share a locker with somebody. The guy kicked me out within a week. I was like, I was lockerless. I was lockerless.
Lockers?
We did.
You had to share lockers?
We had to share lockers in middle school. Really? Yeah. Yeah,
you would think that would bring people together. You know what I mean?
You would think so. No,
it does the opposite, huh?
It does the opposite, well, sometimes it does too. It's like
you should be able to pick your partner.
You're looked at as an image. It's like you're the new person in class. It's like someone's like, oh, this guy is a stranger. He's different. We don't know him. It's like it alienates the individual, and the other person doesn't want to be associated with that.
Maybe they were testing you or something.
No. Well, it was definitely a test, but I don't think it was by them. It's like it was by design. I think it was by social design.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I had to like rise above. It's like
kids can be cruel. Kids can be cruel. Because I used to put thumbtacks on people's chairs. So I guess I was being a bully too. Because that's just like shooting a rubber band at someone, right?
I mean, but kids, some of the best times though are around.
You see people jump off a seat. It's fucking funny.
We became like later on. It's like we had a close knit group of friends that would get together at a friend's house, and we'd shoot BB guns, play like we'd fucking skateboard, we'd ride BMX bikes, and like we'd get into
really trouble. A lot about my friends. My friends are like my family on the streets.
Yeah, I was napping one time on the couch, and one of them was like running around with a BB gun, and he shoots me in the hand, and it hits my nail. It's like, and it hurt like balls.
A shooting nail gun,
yeah, like a little BB gun, and I was so upset. I was just like, "What the fuck did you?"
Yeah. He probably hit you with a pellet.
Yeah, it was a pellet. It was a pellet.
Pellets hurt worse. But I've been hit by him. I know.
But that's the thing, it's like we do stupid shit sometimes. And, it's like I threw a cousin into a pool one time, and like he fell like on the side of it, on the corner of it, and it hurt him. And I was just like, oh shit.
We used to jump
I
off
felt,
roofs in the pools, and I know a kid
yeah.
that got paralyzed doing that. So
Oh god,
just
man.
him hitting his head like
Yeah, you
that,
just have to
he
be
could have got
careful.
paralyzed.
You have to be
Well, he
careful.
could have got
Yeah.
paralyzed. So yeah.
Yeah. But we don't know those things as kids, and you know, it's like that's kind of like the
No, we don't know.
we don't.
We don't know.
So you know, it's like
Well,
we
if we did
all
know, we don't care because we're kids. We're like, oh,
yeah.
we're gonna get away with it anyways. We're kids.
There's a learning
Guess
curve,
what?
man. There's a learning curve to life. You know, it's like there's a learning curve to everything. So every time that you feel that
Absolutely, my friend. You're right.
something wrong is going with you, or that you know, you're asking yourself, why the hell is the universe doing this to me, or whatever. You know, it's like it's doing it for a reason. You know, it's like you just haven't found out why yet.
You're right. It is
And
for a reason.
and that's the thing. You know, it's like you grow into these personality traits, and you know, it's like some people don't like it, but it's because they don't understand, I feel.
They don't see. You're right. Life, you have to live at least 30, 40 years to really understand what's going on in life and to understand why people did cruel things or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
See, I can't relate to kids being bullied these days. I cannot relate to it. I don't think I've ever related to it. But it really bothers me. What I say to myself is that kid being bullied, right? Where's that kid's father? Why is that father asking who the kid that's bullying him and going to see that father and say, hey, listen, your kid bullies my fucking kid again. I'm going to take it out on you.
It could be anything. And the way people react, you know, that's the thing too. Like the hard part is not to react. And, you know, it's like that's one of the things, like I have a really strong temperament. You know, it's like I'm a really patient individual. People.
Yeah, you are.
And you know, it's like it's one of those things where you get put into a different category too, you know, and people abuse that. And
well, they take your kindness for a weakness. They take your kindness for a weakness. That's exactly what it is.
In high school, man, like one time I was leaving wrestling practice, and this guy.
You wrestled? You wrestled?
Yeah, I wrestled in high school.
Nice.
And so I broke my leg senior year, right? I couldn't wrestle.
That's all right. You still did it though.
Hey, I wrestled freshman year with a broken arm too. So you know, it's like I did that.
You're a trooper.
Hey, and
that's that Mexican fighting spirit in you.
These two guys were walking past me, and I didn't notice it, but this guy walks behind his friend and sucker punches me in the face. Knocks me the fuck out, right?
Sucker punches are dangerous, man.
Yeah. I want to talk about this a little bit because I really do think
I want to hear it.
I really do think that mental health and very kids important. Right now, it's a really important thing.
They need to hear this stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely important.
Please get it off
like I remember when Columbine happened. You know, it's like when school shootings began to happen. You know, it's like that.
I couldn't believe that stuff.
I know, and you know, it's like everyone's going through their own thing. I didn't know why that guy hit me. I have no idea why he hit me when it happened.
Later on, with anybody when that happened? Were you walking with people?
Walking home. We were in front of the school. I was walking.
I got sucker punched by two grown men when I was 14, walking back from work, bringing the purse back. So, and I got hit from behind, and I went out cold. The only time I ever went out cold in my life, other than when I fell with this, the only two times ever in a fight, and I've been in 200 plus fights, so that's the only time. But that was a sucker punch from behind. I didn't see it coming. So you didn't see it coming. No. You're gonna either see the flash of light that you see from a punch, or you're gonna go out.
So can I ask you, do you know why those guys hit you?
Well, I had a bag of money I was working in a parking lot, you know, in a booth. Yeah. So I was bringing it back to the office, and it's a long walk. It's a long walk back and it's a really dark fucking parking lot garage. And
for them, it was like the perfect opportunity.
I was 14 years old. I was 14 years old, lying on my applications and shit, right? All the time, right? So, the people that woke me up, they said that they seen two grown men coming up from behind me, and they were big guys. They said I was a young kid. I was still like 150 pounds, 160 pounds, long hair in the back, short on the top, you know, mullet. You know, just walking with the money bag. So yeah, they hit me once, took the money back and left. So it wasn't. So that's the last time I've been knocked out, other than me falling up my stairs. But
Yeah.
in a fight, never. If I see it, they're never knocking me out. I can take a punch really good. So
So I can
go ahead.
disagree.
That's
I
how
can
that happened
disagree
to me.
on stealing. You know, it's like I don't think like stealing is a morally correct thing to do. But everyone's going through shit, man. Like even like when this guy particularly punched me in the face, it's not because of anything that I had on me or the way that I was or anything like that. It's because of something that was happening with him personally. And, you know, it's like the next day I got called into the principal's office. You know,
What
it's
happened to you after you got hit, though? Did you go out?
I got knocked the fuck out, man. I felt
what
bad
happened, though?
backpack.
Did
I was
you
like
have a broken nose? I
No,
had a
no,
broken nose.
no, no, no.
two
I
black
just
eyes.
I knocked out, and when I came to, everything was really fuzzy. I couldn't connect things. One of my friends from wrestling and his mom, God bless his mom. So
That's why they did it where you couldn't see him, because they knew if you got a hold of him and you seen it coming, you would have took him right down.
Well, that's, you know, it's like this guy, he when we got called into it was just me. They called me individually into the principal's office, and then gave me they said that he was upset because he had just broken up with his girlfriend, and that's why he did that, right? Now, that doesn't give anyone the excuse to punch someone, like sucker punch.
I've heard some weird excuses. That's a weird excuse.
Yeah, so I was just like, why did this guy have it out for me? I don't even know his girlfriend. I never knew his girlfriend, and the only way I knew that guy was from like Little League. Like I played with him in Little League, and that was it. In like minor leagues or whatever, I only played with him on one.
I played Farm League and Little League too. I played 8 years of baseball. Yeah,
and you know, it's like that's the strangest excuse. But people get stressed out. People get irate. They do weird shit sometimes. They do weird shit sometimes, and you know, it's like those things can cause other individuals to do weird shit, and that's what we're talking about. You know, it's like violence.
I don't think kids should be charged as adults, because what a kid did way back then, they would never do today. Most we don't look at. Never, yeah, I wouldn't even do what I did when I was younger. I would never do what I did when I was younger.
But there's also the whole thing about like brain health. You know, it's like people don't associate like behavior with how healthy your head is or your brain is physically.
You're right.
I'm talking about physics, right? Like, we don't know those things in medicine. You know, it's like we don't make those connections right now because, you know, there's so many other things happening in medicine right now. People like they get trained. I've got friends that are doctors that are trained and tell me specifically they don't train you to be a doctor. They train you to be a business individual, to sell these drugs, legal drugs. You know, it's like sell the Vicodin, sell the oxycodone, sell all these things, right? Sell
the Brian. People were selling Oxy 80s, the real ones here, for fucking $80 a milligram.
Yeah,
I got 44 months off 4230 oxycodones a day, with Delana's, methadone, whatever, right? Morphines, right? And then 9 antibiotics a day, which I was doing 12 and 15 a day for 15 plus years after this, right?
Yeah.
I got 44 months coming up off them. Not even, no meetings, no nothing. With the other 21 years off.
These are all social issues that are immediately impacting us. There are other issues that we can talk about also, maybe later, that are occurring in the world.
Brian, you can come back anytime.
We have to have a bigger understanding and
there is there's no time limit
for things.
Yeah, you could come back if you want every week for a fucking month if you want to come back. I got so many people coming back, but I make time for people that I respect. And actually, I won't even put no one even on here that I don't respect. So because I can't sit there and pretend to like you. I like you because I like you. You're a good person. I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to fake it.
So when we're looking at solutions for something like this, you know, it's like, what do we give individuals instead of giving them like the excuse to go out and rob or assault or whatever? We should be giving them the excuse to express themselves in one way or another through sports.
That's why I want to give back, Brian. I'm trying to figure that one out, how to help the youth and how to help veterans that are homeless and all these people with mental health issues. Like, I'm trying to figure out how we can help these people.
Remember, like, we have to look at the things that are occurring. You know, it's like we live in an age of technology. This has never happened in the history of humanity.
Yeah, because people have access to so much information. Even with me, like even with me, I used to like I read over 1,000 books, so and I lived the life, so I learned what people were about. I learned the psychology of people really young, and I was never bullied. So, but I've been in
People
a
do
lot
get
of fights
bullied though,
as a
and
young
I'm
kid.
glad you have you have
No,
the.
I'm sure older kids
Well,
probably fucking said some stupid shit to me, but like I was never bullied. I was never scared to fight either. But I grew up around a lot of tough kids and tough
yeah.
cousins and all that, and tough family for that matter. So, that kind of just embedded in you. But I never liked bullies. I always liked fucking going to her. I like bullying the bullies myself. I knew bullies that grew up in the neighborhoods, and they used to break cats over their knees when they're like 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So, and believe it or not, they did time for murder. You know what I mean? So that's how you know they're going to be sociopaths when they break in harmless animals over their knees when they're 8 years old. That's early warning signs right
It's
there.
all brain chemistry too. It's like they. I
And
watch a lot of like,
this kid that I'm talking about was his mother gave him anything he wanted. So it's
sure.
not about what your parents give you. Like
No,
me and you grew up poor. Like we
yeah.
grew up, you know,
There's discipline there. There's discipline, like the things that we perceive. It's like when we look at like our images, or not images, but
no legacy,
yeah.
right?
Well, no,
Is that what you
not
mean?
a legacy. What I mean to say is like
Self-respect or dignity or
no, no,
all
no.
that.
Like someone, like say for example, like my grandpa who was boxing. It's like that's a figure, like a fatherly
Oh,
figure.
mentor.
A
Mentors.
mentor, right.
Mentors.
When we're
Yeah.
looking at mentors,
I
or
had a lot
the
of good
people that
mentors. I'm very
influence us,
grateful.
it's
Yeah.
like who our idols are, like what we're looking towards. It's like what are
Let me ask you something. Who were some of your inspirations as a kid? Say since you first realized life, you were living in your own body and you could remember things. Who was your favorite? Who were your biggest inspirations all the way up till I'd say till you became 17, 18, till you became an adult?
man,
Who were
there
your
are so
biggest
many.
inspirations?
There are so
Well,
many.
just give me the top people you could just
Well, I don't know if
like
I can give you top
when
ones,
you
but
were bullied down when you
I
got
can
sucker
remember a
punched.
few of the things that really did influence me as a kid. I really wanted to be an archaeologist, and that's only because like
Wow.
I watched Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones. It's like I
What's
really
your
wanted to be like
IQ? Your
Batman. It's
IQ
like,
must
I
be
saw
like
Michael Keaton. It's like those people, like that's the thing. It's like we don't um obviously those images do change, those idols do change. Sometimes it's
yeah, but
music.
they'll always be part of your life, though. You'll always
Yeah,
have them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
inspired me. He
And
inspired me.
like later on you have like an appreciation for your parents. It's like you have an appreciation for your grandparents, and those are all internal values in like inside your
Right.
immediate influence of individuals, your immediate family,
You would be a good
the people that
counselor.
you allow into your inner circle. It's like we don't sometimes
Don't put
as a
squares
kid
in your
I
circle, Brian.
as a kid, I didn't have that. I didn't
No,
have like
don't
that
put
inner circle.
squares
I
in your
just let
circle.
anybody
You're right.
in, and people like I had a really huge
Very
acceptance of
protective. Huh? You
anybody.
didn't. Yeah, it's
My
hard to
dad
accept.
my dad was always like, go say hi to your friend when he'd see someone on the street or something like that, because he knew I was like a
He's not
compassionate
my friend.
individual.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's not my friend.
well,
He's
like
not my friend.
they,
He was trying to break you out of that cycle, being shy. Probably.
well,
That's all.
no, it's not even. Well, I have no idea why he would say some of the things that he would, but
Yeah.
I think he wanted me to like reflect on my compassion towards individuals, right?
That's good. That's a good
Yeah,
thing.
and I would go give change to a person, or I would go try to give them food, or I would try to go talk to them. Like I talked to
It's
people
always
that were
felt
like
good to
on the
help
side of the
for me
freeway
too.
kind of thing. Like I sat down with them. It's like I didn't drink anything with them, but they it's like I try to get into their head as to why they were in that situation, or
Yeah.
like how did they get there. It's like I lived in Riverside. I saw a lot of homeless individuals. I worked at Subway.
I
Every
heard
time I
Arizona's the
Subway,
Wild Wild West. I heard it's the
I had
Wild Wild
someone
West
like
there.
yeah, no, I had someone like Riverside's California. So I lived in
Okay.
California most of my life growing up, and I
But
moved
all
around.
in that area is the Wild Wild West. California, all the way to freaking Texas.
I went as far as like Chicago. It's like I've
Iraq.
gone down to Oaxaca, down in Mexico. I was born in Mexico City. I've traveled. So
I love Mexico City is one of my where I want to go one of these days.
it's a big city,
when
man.
I
There's a lot of
travel
people
more.
there, and they've got great tacos.
I love
I have some
Mexico,
family
brother.
over there. Props out. Shout out to my family. Shout out to my brothers.
Shout out to Mexico.
Got,
Shout out to
yeah,
your family, please. Shout out. Definitely shout out.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. I've got one brother out
I
in.
admire Mexican people a lot, bro. I do.
Thank you. I've got a brother out in Canada. I've got a brother that's retired from the Marines. Made
We're in
a lot of.
Canada. I love Marines. I tried to be a Marine.
I
They
think
said
it's
they weren't
Quebec
giving me
or
an AR-15.
Montreal. I'm actually.
Montreal.
I communicate with them once in a while, but I've got 10 brothers and sisters total.
Wow.
So like, it's hard for me to keep up with them. But you know, it's like that kind of shames me in a sense. You know, it's like I wish I was able to keep up with them, but I'm too busy trying to figure stuff out from my end at this point.
I understand. I get what you, because I don't talk to my brother and sister. I don't. Not that I don't love them. Of course, I love them, but they're doing their thing.
Yeah,
they're doing their thing. My stepfather got deported to Italy,
yeah,
and he grew up here his whole life.
Yeah,
you know, he grew up here his whole life, but he was born in Italy. He was here when he was 1 year old, all the way till 11 years ago. But he used to live right next door to me here, and next door to where my studio is, and he got deported to Italy, where his father and mother were from, and thank God his father owned 3 houses over there, right? But then my mother went there like not even 6 months later, and you know, I got those charges dropped for him because it was only a couple pills. A guy was with him when he went to get his script. It was a CI fucking in action.
Crazy shit, man. I have like a $2,000 like registration ticket in California for it was a $50 registration.
No, they're not going to come get you for that. That's not.
It was a $50 registration ticket, and I couldn't pay it. I couldn't pay it. I was too poor. I even like sent them a letter. You know, it's like I told the judge, I was like, "Hey, I can't."
All my kids, they're not coming to get you for a parking ticket. Trust me.
That's the thing, you know.
I know the
law. They do threaten you with those things sometimes, but you just have to rise above some.
Brian, when you can pay it, pay it.
Oh, of course,
you can pay it. Yeah,
when I can, right?
Matter of fact, after this holiday, I'm going to throw you the fucking $50 to pay it. What do you say? It was $2,000 now? What do you say? It's $2,000 now?
It's $2,000. So, you know, it's like that's
well,
the thing.
I'll definitely give you a fucking. We'll try to raise that money. We'll try to raise a few.
No, don't worry about it.
No, I do. I like to help. That's why I do all this stuff. I like.
There is an appreciation for everyone in their profession and what they do. You know, it's like I talked to my art teacher in Orange Coast College one time.
Whoever your art teacher is a good teacher because you're a great artist, man. You're original. You have your own style, which is really it caught my eye. And for it to catch my eye, I'm not saying I'm an expert.
He's retired now. I think he's like out in Ireland or something like that.
Shout out to him because you're a great artist.
First,
I didn't know if you just learned on your own. I didn't know if you just learned on your own or
no.
You know,
I went around like I was.
I forget my art teachers from elementary.
I went around. I actually instead of actually taking you know, it's like I wasn't an A+ student. I was a B student. I always
I don't think that really matters.
I coasted. For me, it mattered because like I coasted. And I got to college.
Well, you didn't apply yourself 1,000% to school. You applied yourself as much as you
in life. I applied myself in life in that sense. I did get myself into a lot of trouble, but that's the thing. I was learning these lessons, and like I came to, you know, it's like come 30, and I started applying these lessons. And, you know, it's like I didn't know what I was doing in my early education. I just took classes to take classes, and I kind of followed my heart a little bit.
Brian, don't feel bad because 30 is when usually people start to figure it out. Absolutely. So I'm just being honest with you. That's what the average. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I'm 50. I just turned 50 last January, so I got 20. You know, I got like 15 years on you or whatever, something like that.
Yeah. The thing that he was telling me, you know, it's like because I told him we were at like the Huntington, and we were talking about like great artists, and I was like, I want to be a great artist, and he tells me. There's everything in life, Brian. There's absolutely everything in life. There's going to be people that pick up trash. There's going to be people that serve you food. There's going to be people that serve you in general, you know? And I didn't understand that then. And my appreciation for not just art, but people, you know, the things that people
there are good people. There's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah. And
I always say that. I always say there are good people out there.
That's what we attract. You know, it's like you have a mindset, you attract individuals that are like-minded. And, you know, it's like I
That's what I want. That's what I like to do, Brian. I'm the same.
yeah,
You figured it out. You're absolutely correct about that. You're absolutely correct. You're right on the money. You're
happy
on
people
point.
like I had this one guy tell me one time, happy people like happy people. Happy people
Yeah.
attract happy people.
Or positive, someone that has a positive attitude. Listen, I used to be a negative person, but I never hated on people. But I hate people that hate on people
Yeah.
because I'm not used to people talking shit unless they say it to your face, and then there's consequences for that fucking shit talking. Online, there is no consequences,
I had a really
and
hard time
it drives me
forgiving myself.
nuts.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
I had a really hard time forgiving myself for all the trouble that I caused, for all the trouble that I caused my parents. It's like
You
I
gotta
had a
forgive
really hard
yourself,
time.
Brian.
But
You have
you have to forgive yourself first. And
You
then
have to. You have to.
at that point, it's like you start learning these lessons, but then you have to be really patient. You have to be like you can't like
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like people get become addicts slowly. People get better slowly. You
yeah,
become wealthy slowly. It doesn't happen overnight
it's a
unless you
discipline.
hit the lottery. It's sacrifice, discipline. Tomorrow's never promised, but 99.9% chance it's gonna come. So plan
Absolutely.
accordingly. You are absolutely correct, my friend. You're absolutely correct. Hold on. There's a couple more people here. I just want to shout them out because they're talking
Yeah,
about you and
absolutely.
me. All right. I hear you. People tried to bully this person, Space Brain, bullied me a little bit, and then I smacked them over the head with a 2x4, and they stopped doing it. Laugh aloud. He's right. You bully a bully, fight fire with fire. Hey, Bobby, we didn't even realize we were in the hood. We were just there looking at it. Now maybe it was the hood, but it was lived. Okay, I get that. Do you get that, Brian?
I get that.
Brian, you got to understand this video will be on for the rest of our life. So a lot of people will see this, not the comments. They'll see, and you could tell them where they could get in touch with you at the end whenever you want to shut down and stop. You could tell them, I want you to
For my
tell
contact
them.
info. Yeah, my contact info, the way that I connected with you, or actually you reached out to me, Bobby, and I appreciate that, man.
I reach out to a lot of people because I only want people on my podcast that are inspirational people. And not only that, you showed a lot of respect towards me, and I knew you were a real person because you showed your true feelings. You don't like sugarcoat nothing, and I like that. I don't like people that sugarcoat, like people on IG and Twitter and even Facebook. Like it's not like they're bad places. They're good. There are a lot of good
Hey,
people there. But
there's something that
IG,
happens with all that.
people make
Yeah,
their lives look so glamorous, and their life sucks. So they're faking the funk, and they're not being honest. They're not being themselves. They're not
right.
being true to themselves. So you're a true person. You showed humility or whatever, and that's what I seen in you. And I seen your great artwork, and I'm like, this kid's talented. And
Look,
I
man,
gotta talk to people
there's
that are
something
talented, how they think.
there's something that happened to me. It's like growing up, I worked in grocery stores also with my dad, and the one of the biggest lessons that I got from him was that you can make or break someone's day.
Yeah, you
That
can.
simply by smiling at them.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. He's right, your father.
yeah, and he had such a great attitude with everybody. When I had a bad day, like he would send me home. He'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" First, he'd ask me. It's like, "Hey, are you all right? What's going on? What the fuck is wrong with you?" And if it's like there would be a day where like it'd be snowing, we'd have like 3 or 4 feet of snow or whatever. I lived in Denver, and I'd get to the warehouse an hour late. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. He was there at like 4, and
Wow.
he'd look at me and he's like, "Go home. You don't want to be here." I was like,
you know what it is. He's no use to a little baby, so he knows what makes you tick. Your father, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
he
yeah.
knew. He knew. You know what I
He,
mean?
God bless his soul. He
Oh,
passed.
I'm sorry. I'm
He
sorry to
passed
hear
away
your loss.
from
Jeez,
cancer, and that was about 2 years ago
I
now.
hate
It hit
cancer.
me pretty hard.
Oh my
So
God.
those
I wonder
things,
why there's sorrow. Now I know why. God bless your father, my friend. I'm sorry for your loss, bro.
Thank
That
you,
sucks.
Bobby. This
That sucks,
he
man.
was a huge influence on me, and he did make
But he
the
created a
biggest,
really
like,
good man. He created a
look,
really good man.
you can make or break someone's day simply by smiling at them, simply by saying good job, or
I
simply
agree.
by like putting all your shit away and aside for a second just to acknowledge someone's existence. It's
That's why I
like
tell people to
just for
beat
a
the sun
second.
and train, because you get all your negative energy out of you, and then anything else in the rest of the day, it will be easier
Positivity.
to
It's positivity. And it's
wake
like
up positive.
when you're
Yeah,
down, someone else will bring you up. If
yeah,
you're
you're right.
putting those vibes out, someone else will give you that vibe back. It's like you don't lose your mojo. You're not
No,
like
no, you don't.
Stella. It's like you don't
No,
lose that. It's like that mojo
Stella
is
got her groove back or whatever. I remember that one.
yeah.
No, you're
Yeah,
right. No, you're right.
yeah.
You're
So
absolutely right. You'd be a good counselor, Brian.
thanks.
You
That's
ever
what
think of, you ever
I'm looking
think
to
of,
do
you
that.
ever think of doing
I
that?
do. I'm in a
Helping
coaching program
kids
right
or
now.
adults?
I am in a
Adults?
coaching program with Mitch Matthews right now, and I'm
Oh,
looking
good,
to get like the
good.
tool set to be able to communicate with people at this level.
My
And
my my niece just got her psychology degree.
for sure, my contact info, Brian_Prieto1 Instagram. So that's my contact info right there. You guys can always contact
Okay,
me there.
okay.
That's my main
Do you
form of
mind? Do you mind if I put
Please
your
do.
info on the
Please do. Yeah,
on the content
if someone is
after
looking
I
to reach
after
out
I
to me,
put it?
absolutely, man.
Well, it's out there. It's out there right now. But after I'm
Yeah,
done,
I, I
I gotta send it out and put a little more things there. So you don't mind
I
if
do
I
delve
put your
into like the esoteric world a little bit, the way that images influence us, and I burn pocket charms for individuals. So like say for example, it's like you've got those posters on your wall right there, right? That's
that's
inspiration.
back there. Yeah,
That's inspiration, right?
those are all inspirations of mine
That's
since
all
I
inspiration.
was.
The same way that like a
Well,
father
those are gangsters
figure.
in the middle. Those are all
Hey,
gangsters in the middle.
you're a
That's
gangster.
every gangster ever.
You're the coolest gangster, man. Hey, thank you. Oh man.
Brian,
And
you're a good man, brother. Listen, I know time is your time's
OG,
valuable. I
you're an
know
OG, man.
that. Listen, I want to have you on whenever you want to come on.
Yeah,
I'm going full time. I started today actually.
for sure.
Now I got my tech coming. I didn't want to say I was going to
I,
start in November because I'm just waiting for a couple more tech
we'll
things.
have
But
to
I
do
have
this
enough
again.
tech. I have enough tech to get the job done.
We do
So
have to do this again.
the show
I'm
must
running
go
out of
on.
time here though because I have to go cut down a tree.
That's why I wanted you to stop it when you were ready to, brother.
I
So tell
appreciate
people
that.
again, Brian. Tell
Oh,
people one more time where they can
oh,
find you.
for
I'm gonna put it on
My
the
Instagram is Brian. Those are all lowercase
honest too.
Brian
You're an honest too.
underscore Prieto1 at Instagram. I burn pocket charms. It's like those are things that like you look into your wallet once in a while, and it's like you're trying to make money or whatever. It's like if you have to change your mindset, you look at this little pocket charm, it changes your mindset. Like those are things that I get into. The psychology
I agree.
behind growth, the influences that we allow to affect us, the discipline that we impose on ourselves first. It's like
I love that attitude, man.
all those things like
But you're a really good drawer. Like you could draw people like their tattoos, and they want to have their tattoos drawn. They could get you could draw it for them, and then they can bring it to their tattoo artist. And
I do get into sacred
draw pretty
geometry
really
a little
good.
bit. I have my own designs and figures that I do make. I'm studied in figure studies and traditional art. It's like I've studied those things. I've studied sculpture. I've studied ceramics. I've studied various things. I went to. This is the thing. I went to community college for 10 years before I got my associate's degree. I didn't. The first year I paid out of pocket, and then I figured out.
I got my associate's degree in a year, Brian.
Hey, good job, man.
In prison.
Hey, good job. Good job, man.
Prison.
Good job. Holy shit. That's our
business management. Business management. Business management.
Good, man. That's awesome.
I can't believe I could do that in a year.
Money,
3 nights a week.
Money's not an issue, man. Money's not an issue. It's the
mindset. They gave that was
mindset.
free. That was free.
That's the mindset. People don't have to. It's like they don't have to spend a lot of money to learn something for themselves, and that's where I'm at. It's like I really want to empower some individuals if they're out and out. It's like
you're going to empower. You're definitely going to help a lot of people out. I could already sense it, Brian. I'm pretty good at picking people off. I'm pretty sure you're going to help a lot of people.
All right, man. Let's do this.
I'm pretty sure. And you know what? If you want to help me with helping people, I want you to come help me help people.
Let's help
because
people.
that's what I'm doing. I
Hey.
bring on inspirational guests, so people can be inspired by that. You
Yeah,
know
if
what I
you're
mean?
if yeah, whoever's listening to this and they want to be helped or they want to be empowered, it's like I do sell my services, so I'm not working for free, but there's
Nor
always
should you.
the
Nor
biggest
should you.
the biggest lesson that you can learn right here, I think, is that trade. It's like nothing is for free. Nothing
No.
is for free. You don't have to have a lot of money, but you're
I'm
not.
doing this for free right now, but it'll pay. A year from now, 3 years from now,
Absolutely.
whatever, it will
Absolutely,
pay. It
absolutely.
will pay.
So we do look at, like, I like to look at those mindsets. It's like I like to look at breaking out of those, like, old habits, whatever those
Salute to you,
might be.
Brian. This for you. Salute to you right up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, man. There's a lot of
I
things
wish I
that
could pass it. I wish I could pass it to you. I would. I swear to God, I was saying that to other people. I would pass. Yeah, I would pass it. Kid.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of stuff, man. I'm not against smoking marijuana in any sense. I do think that it has beneficial qualities for certain individuals. At the same time, it's like you really have to know yourself, though. And
you should start out small if you don't know about it. Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's the thing too. It's
I
like,
agree.
and some people, like, do you know who Graham Hancock is? Like,
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Guy,
I know of him. I know.
Yeah, he talks about taking a break from it too. It's like I've gone through those phases as well, where I've come.
It helps me. It helps me with my training because I don't take pain meds so it helps me with my pain.
Yeah.
So but I've been smoking since '82. It don't hurt my cardio. My cardio is actually better from it. So
sure.
That's just me, though, and a lot of people will test.
I like to experiment with it. I do like to experiment with it, and I do give myself those breaks. And when I come back to it, it's nicer sometimes too. It depends, man. Every person is different.
Everyone is different. You're right.
It's like you have your own autonomy. You have your own.
It's what's best for the individual. You're right. Everyone is different. You're right. We're not much different, but we're very similar in a lot of ways. But we've
got a lot of things in common.
Yeah, but we got a lot of things in common. But we got a lot of. Everyone is wired a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right.
Thank you for having me on today, man.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, Brian. You're a good man. Respect. That's what that means. Fist. That's a respect symbol. That's what that means. When you see those emojis, that's what that is. Respect.
For sure, man. Respect,
brother. Thank you for joining me. Have a blessed day and a blessed weekend. And I'll get back to you during the week, and this will be up.
We'll do this again.
We'll definitely do this again, bro. We'll definitely do this again. Thank you for joining in the Granite 617. Thank you very much, Brian. Have a good day, my friend. Take it easy, brother.